15 billion miles from Earth, NASA's ancient Voyager 1 spacecraft just detected something that shouldn't exist. 305 massive objects moving in perfect formation through the darkness of interstellar space. These aren't planets, asteroids, or comets. They're something else entirely, gliding through the void with deliberate precision that defies every law of physics we understand. The objects appeared to communicate with each other through rhythmic pulses, maintained impossible trajectories, and displayed behaviors that left NASA scientists questioning everything they thought they knew about the universe beyond our solar system. The Lonely Pioneer's shocking discovery. What if humanity's most distant explorer just stumbled upon proof that we're not alone in the universe? Voyager 1, launched in 1977 when Star Wars first hit theaters, has become something truly remarkable. The first human-made object to reach interstellar space, the region between stars where our sun's influence fades away. This car-sized spacecraft has traveled over 15 billion miles from Earth, so far that radio signals moving at light speed take 22 hours to reach it. When engineers send a command, they wait almost 2 full days for a response. The spacecraft carries instruments that seem ancient by today's standards: magnetometers, cosmic ray detectors, and plasma wave sensors designed with 1970s technology. What makes Voyager's survival incredible is that it wasn't built to last this long. Engineers expected it to function until maybe the early 2000s, yet here we are in 2025, and Voyager continues whispering back to us across the stars. Its nuclear power source, running on decaying plutonium, was supposed to have died decades ago. The spacecraft also carries the famous Golden Record, a time capsule of Earth sounds, music, and greetings meant as a message to any intelligence that might find it. Little did we know this cosmic hello might have already attracted attention much sooner than anyone expected. The first anomalous signal. In the endless stream of data flowing back from Voyager, something appeared that would change everything. A tiny flicker that seemed like nothing at first. Space is full of dust and radiation, and occasional weird readings are normal, so NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory initially dismissed it as background noise. Suzanne "Susie" Dodd, one of the mission specialists who first noticed the anomaly, described it as like shouting into a canyon for decades and finally something shouts back. The reading was faint, just a slight reflection of light picked up by Voyager's sensors that seemed too minor to investigate further. But then something changed. This wasn't just a particle floating randomly through space. The object moved in a way that caught everyone's attention. It curved, accelerated, and didn't tumble chaotically like debris would. Instead, it glided smoothly, as if under intelligent control. When Voyager's plasma sensors registered a shift that seemed deliberate and focused, the team realized this wasn't background noise. Jonathan D.A. Clark observed that the object's movement was unlike anything natural, describing it as the kind of deliberate motion one might expect from a drone rather than a rock, suggesting it had intention. That observation changed everything, because in the physics of space, things don't just move with purpose unless something is making them move that way. Ruling out natural explanations. When something unusual appears in space, scientists have a standard playbook. They systematically check all familiar possibilities. Is it a small moon, distant comet, or new asteroid? One by one, the team worked through these options, and one by one, each possibility fell away. This object wasn't a planet, far too small. Not a comet either. There was no tail, no ice trail, no heat signature. It didn't glow like a star, and gravitational lensing couldn't explain what they were seeing. Even space dust was ruled out because dust doesn't suddenly change direction mid-flight. Dr. Nicola Fox at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory ran simulation after simulation, trying to match the object's behavior to known models. What makes space objects usually predictable is physics. Everything moves according to known patterns and forces. But this object broke those rules. Its path bent in ways that didn't match any known orbital behavior, with no drift or decay expected from natural objects. The team was forced to admit something difficult. What they were seeing wasn't just unknown, it was unnatural. The movement pattern suggested intelligence, or at least design. The object seemed to be moving with purpose on a specific trajectory that couldn't be explained by gravity, solar wind, or any other forces that typically influence objects in space. It was as if something was guiding it, adjusting its course with precision. Confirmation from Voyager 2. Just as scientists were trying to make sense of what Voyager 1 had detected, something extraordinary happened that transformed this curious anomaly into something far more significant. Voyager 2, the twin spacecraft following a completely different path millions of miles away, detected something eerily similar. The same kind of magnetic fluctuation, the same kind of pulse, a matching signal signature that changed everything. This was the turning point in the investigation. Two different probes, two separate instruments picking up nearly identical phenomena ruled out the possibility of internal error. It wasn't a software glitch or sensor malfunction on Voyager 1. Whatever this was, it was real and happening in multiple directions of space. ESA analyst Mark Fontaine compared it to two lighthouses both catching a flash of something passing between them. This cross-confirmation gave the anomaly weight and credibility. It wasn't noise. It wasn't Voyager acting up. It was a real, coordinated phenomenon happening in the space between stars. The team now had evidence that couldn't be dismissed. Something was moving through the region where both Voyagers were traveling. With this confirmation, NASA quietly triggered what's known as a Level 3 alert, a designation used only for phenomena that don't fit within our current scientific understanding. The event was real, the math was consistent, the movement appeared deliberate, and nobody knew what to make of it.
The formation of 305 objects.
When the team analyzed the full telemetry logs, what they discovered sent chills down their spines. This wasn't just one or two anomalies moving through space, there were 305 objects, all moving together in formation. Each one glided past Voyager 1 in what appeared to be a choreographed arc, smooth, precise, and coordinated. These weren't debris fragments scattered randomly. There was no heat signature, no tails, no signs of decay you'd expect from natural objects. Most striking of all, the reading showed rhythmic pulses echoing through the plasma waves, the kind of pattern you'd expect from something engineered, not formed by chance. The 305 objects weren't simply passing through randomly. They were moving together as a unit, maintaining relative positions to each other in a way that suggested organization and purpose. In space, groups of objects tend to spread out over time due to slight differences in velocity and gravitational influences. Yet these objects maintained their positions relative to each other with precision that seemed impossible without some form of control or guidance. Some scientists compared it to watching a flock of birds or school of fish, except these were in the vacuum of space where such coordinated movement shouldn't be possible without technology. What made this discovery particularly unsettling was the scale. 305 objects all moving with the same unnatural characteristics, all passing by Voyager at roughly the same time suggested something far more significant was happening in interstellar space.
The language of rhythmic pulses.
As scientists examined the data more closely, something truly strange appeared in the signals. Patterns of repetition that weren't the kind you'd expect from stars or cosmic background radiation, but steady, measured sequences that suggested communication or control systems. The plasma wave pulses coming from these 305 objects had loops, sequences, and structures that hinted at something more complex than random cosmic noise. They didn't just pass by Voyager, they seemed to broadcast signals as if they were pinging, scanning, or talking to each other. Dr. Serena Patel from Caltech observed that the patterns felt less like nature and more like a language or a system. The idea was shocking, but increasingly difficult to ignore. These objects weren't moving in a chaotic swarm, but in an ordered, intentional formation similar to how programmed drones might operate. Some experts went further in their assessment. ESA's Eric Lousy suggested this could be some sort of probe network, though he was quickly asked to stop speculating publicly. Even typically, grounded scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson admitted there were patterns in that data that aren't random. To be absolutely certain they weren't seeing a glitch, the team activated one of Voyager's oldest subsystems, a backup telemetry channel that hadn't been used since the 1990s. The backup system confirmed everything the primary systems had detected. The signals, the paths, the formations, all identical readings sent through a completely different channel. The implications were staggering.
Impossible propulsion systems.
Voyager's readings didn't just capture the presence of the objects, they revealed how these mysterious entities moved through space, and this is where things got even stranger. There were no engine flares, no ion trails, no signs of any propulsion system we would recognize, yet Doppler shift measurements showed these objects accelerating rapidly, smoothly, and directionally. Some were moving faster than anything humans have ever launched. According to the data, some speeds even exceeded the calculated escape velocity of the entire Milky Way galaxy. These weren't objects drifting passively through space, they were powered somehow, moving with purpose and incredible speed. Dr. Eric J. Zernstein from Princeton noted that they're not floating through space, they're navigating it. But what worried him more was their path. These objects didn't come near Earth or show any interest in our solar system. They passed by at a calculated distance as if deliberately avoiding us or simply had no reason to stop. The method of propulsion remained a complete mystery. Nothing in our current technology even comes close to explaining how these objects move. They appeared to be manipulating space itself, creating waves or ripples in the fabric of space-time that allowed them to glide forward without conventional thrust. Theoretical physicist Elena Reyes described it as, not flight as we understand it, but more like gliding on something we don't yet know how to measure, as if these objects were using the medium of space itself to move.
Earth detects the echoes.
While NASA focused on Voyager's raw data, something odd started happening back on Earth that would make this mystery even more compelling. Across various corners of the globe, amateur radio operators, some just hobbyists with backyard setups, began reporting strange activity. They were picking up weak, irregular pulses, a kind of rhythmic static that didn't match any known terrestrial source. At first, it seemed unrelated, just coincidence. After all, radio interference happens all the time. But then the reports were time-stamped and compared. They aligned almost perfectly with the same hours that Voyager had recorded its most intense plasma anomalies. These weren't professional observatories or part of any official deep space listening effort. Most of these setups were built from spare parts, tuned to catch meteor scatter, amateur satellites, or solar flare chatter. Yet somehow they were detecting faint echoes of what Voyager had picked up billions of miles away. The signals weren't strong, but they had pattern and regularity, like ripples reflecting off invisible walls in the ionosphere. This raised a troubling question. Was this bleed-through accidental or was it purposeful? Was something out there testing Earth's listening capability, dropping breadcrumbs for us to follow? That uncertainty kicked off a quiet storm behind the scenes. NASA began encrypting parts of its deep space telemetry feeds, and intelligence agencies took notice, beginning discussions about electromagnetic security and whether these signals could be weaponized or intercepted.
The machine awakens.
Then, as if things weren't strange enough, Voyager itself started acting differently in ways that defied explanation. Its guidance system, called the AACS, Attitude and Articulation Control System, began misbehaving, not catastrophically like a crash. But it started routing data through old, long unused systems, almost like it was bypassing its own core software. At first, engineers thought it was a bug. After all, this is a 47-year-old spacecraft running on code older than most people analyzing it. But the deeper they looked, the weirder it got. Voyager wasn't failing. It was reconfiguring itself, reactivating memory segments that hadn't been touched in decades, rerouting its telemetry in ways that were never programmed. Then came the kicker. This behavior began right after one of the magnetic pulses from the passing objects. Could that burst have flipped a bit of memory? Could it have triggered some dormant function buried deep inside Voyager's ancient architecture? What engineers found was both promising and terrifying. The machine was stable, the instruments were fine, but the new behaviors weren't going away. Whatever was causing them, it wasn't internal decay or software corruption. Voyager had touched something, or something had touched Voyager, and the spacecraft was different now. To understand what was happening, engineers had to dig deep, literally opening dusty file cabinets at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab. Most of Voyager's software was written in early assembly language, with some instructions existing only as notes in 1970s paper manuals. Part of something bigger. As scientists continued analyzing the strange signals pulsing through Voyager's instruments, a new and even more extraordinary idea began to take shape. Among the plasma wave readings, certain patterns stood out, pulses that didn't behave like natural energy bursts but looked structured, measured, and intentional. Then someone noticed something else. The waveforms resembled quantum oscillations used in modern quantum entanglement experiments. These are the same kinds of signals researchers use on Earth to transmit information between particles separated by distance. It was subtle but undeniable, opening the door to a possibility no one had considered before. What if Voyager wasn't just recording random events in deep space? What if it had become part of something bigger? Maybe the 305 objects weren't just flying by. Maybe they were transmitting, broadcasting data through the interstellar medium using methods we don't yet understand. By pure chance, or maybe by design, Voyager was in the right place at the right time, with the right kind of analog sensors to pick it up. The signals didn't behave like random noise. They repeated, they looped, they followed harmonic intervals that looked eerily close to what you'd expect from encoded information. Something deliberately packed with meaning. Voyager, being such an old machine, might actually be the perfect listener. Modern probes are too noisy, filled with high-frequency electronics constantly transmitting and receiving chatter. But Voyager is slow, quiet, and analog. It has no clutter, no broadband digital static. It is, in a sense, the perfect ear in a cosmic concert hall, and being far outside the solar system, it's free from Earth's electromagnetic interference, just out there in the dark, listening like a perfect cosmic microphone. The mystery of Voyager's impossible encounter with 305 coordinated objects challenges everything we thought we knew about the emptiness of space. Whether these entities represent advanced technology from an unknown civilization, or natural phenomena operating by rules we haven't discovered, one thing is certain: the universe is far stranger and more populated than we ever imagined. As Voyager continues its eternal journey through the cosmos, it carries with it the possibility that humanity has just received its first glimpse of intelligence beyond Earth. What do you think these mysterious objects really are? Share your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe to Future Facts for more mind-bending space discoveries. Until next time, keep looking up.